Okay, so I'm gonna do a reading journal flip through today. This is my hobby journal, and then I have this here because there's something I'm gonna show you kind of like near the end, and this is for a reference. This is my, what's the word? My commonplace one? My sloppy copy. So before anything goes in here, this is my sloppy copy for if I mess up. Okay, so this is my hobby journal. This is my January, February update. Okay. So I have so this is going to be every year, and I'm just starting it this year though. So I have January 2026. This is the way I do spice levels and the way I rate my books, which is funny because the moment I started using this, my books stopped being rated so low on some of them because I started using this, as I would just do vibes. For 2026, these are my goals for my hobbies, which is kind of weird because I think I had just different expectations going into the year. So, like I'm getting them done, I think, quicker than what I anticipated. So I technically finished my Dream Lorcana deck, but there's more packs coming out, and so it might be like my vision is different. And I've already finished 5 completed anime shows. So I did not put the picture over here, but it's before the coffee gets cold. I need to print another one, which I will be doing when I update my planner. This is how many books I've read in a month, and it's funny because the biggest number I put was 14 because the most books I've ever read in a month was 10, 11 in the past like 4 years. But I've started including manga, and that's why these numbers are bigger than per usual. This is my series from January to February. The biggest thing that made a difference so far is Black Clover. Season 1 is 171 episodes, so it's broken up into parts. And I've highlighted any of the ones that's anime. And this is the first year where I'm really proud of really embracing my nerd and watching anime. I feel like what's always happened prior is I'd always tell myself, no, I'm going to watch more anime this year. I'm going to watch more anime. And I start off good by watching like 2 or 3 and then completely just forget. For movies, I haven't been watching any. When I say new movies, I mean new for me, not just technically new, they're out. So I watched the Spider-Man movies and I haven't watched any new movies since. And I always think this is really cool to kind of see when I watch more movies versus not. My gaming, I haven't played video games at all in February. My daughter's in a play. That's been a focus. And I botched up Animal. Like, I don't know what was happening. I was sounding out Anna Mill and then wrote it freaking like that. So yeah, this is new, but I want to play more video games and finishing the ones that I've started this year. So we'll see how that goes. This is my library tracker. So anything that I check out from the library and finish, I catalog. And right now it's all Libby. And then at the end of the year, I can be like, how much money I saved. Because this was a big thing I think I've noticed last year is I buy books that I want to read, but they're not technically books I want to own. So I'm trying to embrace the library. And this is how I've been reading a lot more of my manga too. It's because when I discovered they have whole volumes on Libby, that made just such a huge difference. Pages in a book. I don't do my manga one, and I don't do my audiobook. So if I listen to an audiobook, I don't go and look up how many pages were in that book. So these are all like digital e-reader books, like I had to read the physical like words. So that's why there's only 3, because I've only read 3 novels so far this year. The rest were manga for the most part. My ABC challenge so far, I do include manga in this. And yeah. And then publication, I do include audiobooks, manga, and printed books, because I think you can start to see the trend of what type of media you're reading and what was maybe popular during certain times of the year. Different years, not certain times of the year. So I did add manga. I put a note saying not to, but I did. I did end up doing that because I was curious. I have my first song. It's not a new song, but I think songs that I just kind of get obsessed with. So the first one was I Dated a Monster. Haven't played any D&D this year so far. And then one book out of my 26 and 26, and I am still reading this one. It's just been slower. Authors and genres. I'm not including manga in this, just audiobooks and physical books or printed books in here. Fan fiction. I am currently reading one, so one will get added in here when I'm finished reading it. The Lexile. So this is only going to be books where I read the actual printed words, whether it be a digital book or a physical book, because I want to see which books and what kind of reading level I'm reading. And it's interesting because I DNF'd this book, which was actually alchemized. And then this book was a self-help book. And it's super interesting because I'm struggling with Chain Gang All-Stars, but I'm also thinking maybe that's because it's supposed to go right here. It's 9th. It's anywhere from 6th to 10th grade based off of dialogue. When people are talking, it's 6th grade, but when it comes to description and world building and the Cliff Notes, it is 9th to 10th grade. I'm like, am I struggling with these higher grade books? Because when I read for pleasure, I prefer them down. It's silly. So I'm curious to see how this plays out. These are books in and books out. So any books I bought, I'm going to add here. And then any books that I donate, I'm going to put over here. And then this is my overall reading log. So 24 books. And then I'll put the rating and the, if it was spicy, I'll put the spice rating. And if it's a book I physically read, I'll put the grade level here. Which is wild because my daughter's in 4th grade. So sometimes when it gets analyzed and it says 4th or 5th grade, I was like, my daughter could have read that. But this is clearly a spicy book, so she would not have read that. And then when I've reached my goal, an overachiever, and so on, I just wanted to fill the space. Any other hobbies I've tried? So I've tried embroidery this year so far, felt work, and air dry clay. So far, air dry clay is my least favorite. My anime list. So I started, and when I highlight it, that means I've finished what was currently out. And I've recently put how many episodes were in it, and then plus if it was airing new stuff. And then because the fall stuff is coming out, I've started adding some that I'm seeing that's coming out in the fall. And that's why you have winter shows over here and what's coming out in the fall. And then I add One Piece. And then my series tracker. And then I just add because there's some that I added that I haven't read this year. And then ones I'm reading, as I read new ones, I add them in here. This is brand new. So this is book club. And I put the date that we met up here with like my stamp, and it's in Italian. That's why it says Jen like that. And then I just put a check mark next to if I read the book and then the star rating. And we always pick a regular book and a spicy book. So, because in my head I tell myself, well, it'd be nice to read it at least at some point throughout the year. And then I want to read One Piece. So This is part 1, obviously, because I only got 217 boxes. I figured I would just color in the boxes as I watch the episodes. And the next page will look, I figured I didn't want to do all the episodes because they're still counting. But I figured this is generic, and then by 217, I'm sure I'll have a favorite character or theme that I'm going to want to do the next layout as. And I also have my trip to Japan, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll get some like washi tape or stickers to decorate it. So this is why I brought this notebook in here, because I want to put this diagram in this notebook because it's my hobby book. One of the things I've been doing, have been doing, but it's been paused since I've started this one because I don't want to just add it into this one. I've been ranking all of the Disney movies. Like, I've been watching them and ranking them against each other so I can find my true favorite Disney movie. And I did that in here. Let me see. So I'm copying the chart into here. Where is it? Yeah, this was my... Okay, so this was the first... Oh, there's so many. This is the first one, and I'm copying this entire thing into here. Fun fact, my favorite Disney movie from 1937 to 1997 is Aladdin, apparently. Apparently that, and then Pocahontas, The Lion King, The Black Cauldron, The Fox and the Hound, Beauty and the Beast, and then The Great Mouse Detective are like my top movies. So I'm transferring this onto here because I'm on to the next bracket. So I'm going to copy this one and the next one. And then there's supposed to be another one, but there's not enough to fill a whole bracket because I ran out of Disney movies. I mean, there's constantly more coming out, but I do have them written. So I'm copying that into here because this is my hobby journal, and apparently watching the Disney movies and ranking them is a hobby for me now. So I'm going to do that for the next few pages. And then the next things that I want to watch is I want to watch all the Barbie movies, and I want to do the Marvel movies. And I'm also doing the AVP universe. So, because I want to get back into watching movies, because sometimes people talk to me and I'm like, I haven't watched that. So I have my anime watch list, but I think I want to do a TV show one because Bridgerton came out and everybody in book club was talking about it, and I've never watched it or seen it. I've seen clips and I know the audios and I know what the audio is too, but I've never watched it. So I think I want to have a TV show watch list as well, because I am watching Smallville and I was like, oh yeah, that counts as binging. So, yep. There it is, and that's my update flip through of my hobby / reading journal from January, February.